What's going on, everyone? So, the Los Angeles Lakers have the 55th pick once again in the NBA draft. Many of you might remember last year the Lakers had the 55th pick in which they drafted Bronny James. Now, they don't have a first round pick. They only have the 55th pick. Could they maybe buy a pick or something like that at some point? Sure, it's a possibility. We will see how that all plays out. But what I want to talk about in this video and kind of just go over, I will definitely be breaking down players and stuff like that. Please let me know any players in particular you want me to break down, kind of go over as far as, potential 55th pick guys, right? Like, so, Ace Bailey or something like that. Probably not going to break him down. Probably only do guys that are actually obtainable in that 55 range, give or take. So please, if you have anyone in particular that you want me to break down, let me know. I have a couple lists already in mind. But here, I want to talk about, like, what do we want to see the Lakers draft? Because obviously with the 55th pick, you're not drafting, more likely than not, a superstar or like one of the top players. You never know, right? I mean, the draft, we have seen guys go undrafted and become, great. We've seen guys be second round picks come out great, right? I mean, Jokic was, during a Taco Bell commercial or whatever. You never know how things are going to play out. Draymond Green, right? Like, there's several guys. I mean, Austin Reeves, look, I've been very critical of Austin Reeves. For an undrafted guy, he's one of the best, right? Like, the guy's ridiculous for an undrafted guy given the circumstance. So you never know what you're going to find, never know what you might get. Now, obviously, the Lakers' biggest need is the center position, right? Lakers need to address the center position. Like I've said, they need two centers, in my opinion. Now, the Lakers could obviously go and draft a center, which, sure, okay, fine. I wouldn't be upset with that by any stretch. Me personally, I would probably prefer some wing depth, right? Like, can you get like a 6'7", 6'8" guy? And the only reason for that is, one, I'd like a more already established center. Like, I'd like a guy that you know what you're going to get, or at least have an idea of what you're going to get, right? Like, again, you look at, say, a Mark Williams trade. Like, you know what he's going to be, but he's also young enough to give you upside and potential. But even if it's not like a Mark Williams, like a Nick Claxton or a Daniel Gafford, again, you kind of know what they are. They're already proven in this league. They can already give you production. You know what their defense is, their shot blocking, right? And the idea is like, okay, Luka's going to elevate that. Now, you could argue, hey, Tyler, but, the backup role, it'd be great to get a development big for the backup. But again, you have Koloko, who's still young. You have Jackson Hayes if you wanted to continue to develop him, right? Trey Jamison, I like him, who's an absolute tank, 6'11", 270, right? Can you continue to develop and grow him? The type of center you're going to get realistically from like the 55th pick to undrafted is probably not that huge of a range. Obviously, again, you never really know. But to me personally, for a team that's looking to win sooner rather than later, right? At least right now, and now that you have Luka, it's probably going to be the case every year. I would prefer that the Lakers go and get established centers, right? Go get a Gafford and then a Clint Capella and continue to grow and develop, Hayes or, Koloko or Jemison, right? I'd rather them go that route and then go get that 3-and-D wing, go get that perimeter guy, maybe kind of more of a veteran guy, because the Lakers love to draft older guys, particularly in the second round, right? Lakers usually look for guys that are in that, 23 to 25 range. There are several, 6'6", 6'7" guys. There's one from Duke that I want to talk about and break down, right? There's several guys that, are in that 6'6" to 6'8" range that can play either forward spot, that can be shooters and defenders, that have a little experience already, obviously not at the NBA level, but, have that maturity rather than, going and getting either an older guy or a project big where you have several project bigs already. And top of that, you could probably get one in that goes undrafted, right? So I'd rather, if you're going to get, a project, I'd rather it be an 18 or 19-year-old wing. I mean, look at Max Christie, like what Max Christie was able to provide, right? We got him in the second round. If you could get somebody like that, that's got some good size, good strength, good athleticism, good versatility, that you can kind of grow under the Lakers banner. And in a year or two, now he's a real piece, a real factor, while the Lakers are trying to get that, because you're always going to need a new wing. You're always like, the one thing that is never going to go out of style is the 3-and-D wing. every team in the league needs those kind of guys. Obviously the center, right? But a lot of teams you see at times like to go small ball, right? The bigger teams go bigger, but unless you're getting a Zach Edey in the second round, which there's just not that, particularly in the second round. There are a couple guys that I would be intrigued in. And like I said, I will cover a couple center. I have like a handful of centers, a handful of wings, a couple guards, stuff like that. But, the one thing that's not going to go out of style is the guy that is 6'6" in size, 6'7" in size, that can play the 2, the 3, and on occasion the 4, and defend multiple positions, defend 1 through 4, hit the open 3 ball, play off of Luka, right? Where, at the center spot, with Luka, you're kind of looking, even just long-term, even like post like LeBron and everything like that, you're kind of looking for a rebounding, shot-blocking, lob threat center, right? Like, you're not looking for that skilled center, which I guess you can make the argument, it'd probably be easier to find a guy like that in the late second round, right? But even then, I think you could just find that regardless. I mean, there's several like under-the-radar guys that are on all these teams, and every year there's like an abundance of those guys that aren't really skilled offensively, but are athletic and, run the floor and, got some size. So I think you can find that undrafted. I think you can find that in future drafts. I think if you can find, obviously, look, at that point, 55th pick, you're taking the best player available. You're taking the player that makes the most sense as far as like, hey, this guy we could bring in and we see the vision, right? Like that's what you're usually trying to do, right? Because at that point, they're all essentially gambles, right? I mean, the draft lottery and the NBA draft period is just one giant gamble. I mean, we've seen number 1 picks, fizzle out and never become anything. We've seen 60th picks become stuff, right? That's the beauty of the draft in our game, is that like you never really know. Like you could get that one guy that's just that gem. Again, look at Max Christie. We were all kind of like, man, you probably shouldn't have traded Max Christie, especially with Luka. It's like, man, that guy would have been ideal alongside. If you could find kind of the next Max Christie, right, which the Lakers, the last like 10 years have been very good drafting, right? Particularly role guys. Right? They the star and stuff like that, right? You can argue, well, they missed on Tatum, they missed on Jaylen Brown, like guys like that, but they've been really good. Like, look at all these teams, like even these contending teams and stuff like that, all have guys that were Lakers. Julius Randle, Josh Hart, Larry Nance has been on several teams and been a big impact guy and a guy that teams continuously want. Ivica Zubac, right? Like, go down the list. Like Alex Caruso, right? Like, go down the list of these guys. The Lakers draft picks and signings and stuff, undrafted signings and all kinds of are just scattered amongst these playoff teams. Lakers have been very good at finding those diamonds in later rounds. And Lakers are usually drafting late in the draft or, in the second round more often than not. So they're getting a lot of these guys with second round picks and late drafts. So to me, I trust the Lakers scouting department. I trust the Lakers draft team to find that guy that, again, you can bring him, slot in. He can be, a rotation piece at some point. I'm not necessarily saying this year. When you're getting a guy with the 55th pick, you're not expecting him to be a star or anything like that right out the gate, right? If he could just be a rotation player in 2 or 3 years, that's a steal. Right, for the 55th pick. Most 55th picks are out in 2 years, right? So if you can find a guy that in 2-3 years is coming in, slot in, I've said the same thing about Bronny, right? Like Bronny doesn't have to be a superstar. He doesn't have to be anything like that. But if he could just be like, a more athletic Gabe Vincent for us, that's perfect, right? Like, he's probably not starting. He's probably not doing that. But like, as a guy coming off the bench to be a point of attack and be a 3-and-D guard, perfect. Right? The Lakers are going to need that. Lakers are going to need guys like that. If you can find somebody in the draft, like I said, that's, got some size, 6'6" to 6'7", ideally, that can slot in at the 2, play alongside Luka at times, and just be that athletic, versatile, 3-and-D guy, right? Like that would be like Blake Hinson, if he could defend, would be beautiful, right? Like, a guy that could just be a knockdown shooter, but also defend. If Dalton Connect, if you could get like a guy that can defend, but maybe not as good shooting, but, not terrible, right? Like, but just like kind of in the middle, right? But can also defend and whatnot, right? Dalton Connect, the reason he didn't get playing time is because he's literally our worst defensive player, right? So if you could find somebody like that grows and develops, obviously Dalton Connect can grow and develop and continue to grow and develop. But point is if you can find that gem, right? That's what I'm looking for, right? Can you find that gem? And I just think it's more likely you're going to find that random, 6'6", 6'7" guy that just like fell in the draft, or, no one's really thinking about, because he's 23 or 22 or whatever, and he can come in and immediately make an impact, at least during the regular season, even if he doesn't play in the playoffs. If you can get a guy that could basically give you what Dalton Knecht gave you all season, we're just like kind of spot minutes, right, and hit the occasional three, make some plays here and there, maybe have that occasional game where he just, blows up and, just drops 20 or whatever, right? Like that would be great. If you can find a guy like that with a later pick, Lakers could be in business as far as draft picks go. But anyway, again, as always, just kind of wanted a generic draft video. Like I said, I'm going to start diving into actual specific players and stuff as we inch closer to the draft. We'll still talk about, free agents and all that stuff, but, want to, as we're moving and inching towards the draft and the Lakers having the 55th pick, I do think there's some potential there. But if you have any names in particular, like I said, I have a list of a couple guys per position that I want to go over. So let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.